Hey.
Hey,
Hey,
what's
Ryan.
up, Katrina? How are you?
I'm good. How are
We are.
you?
I am very well, very well. Excited about our little talk tonight. So thanks for joining us.
Mhm.
So I'm Ryan. I am co-founder, co-creator of Neuro Empowerment here. I oversee the client process. Uh, my other title is Chief Health Leader, which is to say, I basically manage the wellness center at the clinic. Um, and this is Katrina Velez. Katrina, thanks for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
Um, no, this is awesome. All right, so cool. So let's jump right into it. So Katrina, I wanted to start with, can you tell us a little bit about why you came to see us?
Yeah, it's kind of a crazy story. So I'm gonna start a little bit before the thing that got me into neurofeedback. So 4 people in my life had like suddenly passed away in like 2 years. And I during that time I got really sick, like physically, emotionally, mentally. And then after the fourth person passed away, I just felt like I needed a catharsis. I needed to kind of like explore my inner self and kind of go on this spiritual journey. So I was researching into ayahuasca at the time, and I thought it was going to be this experience where I would be able to have a connection with my father, who was one of the people who passed away.
Mm.
I thought I would be able to um, kind of get rid of my panic attacks, which happened a lot during that short period of time. And yeah, so I had scheduled it like for October 20, it was 2019 or 2020. And it was just like not at all what I had expected. Um, I
Up
had a
until then,
child.
Katrina, can I interrupt for a second?
Yeah.
Up until then, had you done anything else? Had you done any other kind of work, any other kind of mental health work, personal development work?
Yeah. I was in therapy at the time and we were doing EMDR and that was helping, but it wasn't, I don't know, like I knew my sickness was tied to my emotions because I just had such chronic stress during
Mm.
that time. It would tighten my muscles and I would get like SVT palpitations. So it wasn't really like digging um, into the source of those fears that I was experiencing. Um,
Did you
so I won't.
understand the connection between emotions and how it can affect the body? Did you understand that before going to therapy, or you understood it through therapy?
I understood it through therapy. Um, yeah, and then like ayahuasca kind of opened up that notion a little bit more. Um, But when I went to the ceremony, it was just, I mean, I had really good moments with it. I felt, there were times where I felt love was all around me and it was a very comforting and beautiful, like eye opening experience. But there are also times when I experienced hell on earth. And that was the ceremony when I experienced hell. That was the part of the ceremony that I actually ended on. And
Mhm.
that final like ceremony with the ayahuasca, it was really bad. It kind of just like ripped open my consciousness, and my entire subconscious was just a wreck, and it was so like abysmally depressing. It was so bad. Like I was just shaking in my boots, and I
So this is
didn't.
happening. Can we slow down for a second? This is
Yeah.
happening in this ceremony, in this what we call ayahuasca ceremony. This everything that you're describing is happening in ceremony.
Yes.
Okay, gotcha. Okay.
I felt extremely dissociated. I felt crazy, which I guess is it's expected, in like when you take a psychedelic that powerful. But I didn't have any like idea of reality because my nervous system thought it died. So I felt like when I after like post ceremony, I was not just dealing with the visions I had with ayahuasca, which were very traumatic, but also just the trauma of being back in my body and feeling like I was in the Matrix, or, you know, like plugging back into reality. And I'm just having flashbacks of when I went to you, because you knew I was a wreck. Like, like when I when I came to you, it was, you know, but anyways, I'm gonna go back to that point. So yeah, I came back to New York, and I didn't feel safe with myself because it was just so intense. The emotions that I was going through post ayahuasca. So I decided to come back down to Miami, and live with my mom for a little bit. And I took like 2 months off from work, which I was able to get on medical leave thanks to my therapist. And I just read a ton of what happened to me, because it's not really the typical ayahuasca experience people have. Or maybe it is, but they come out like not as abysmally depressed as I was. So yeah, I just started reading Realms of the Human Unconscious by Stanislav Grof, and I read The Body Keeps the Score. And that was that is the Bible on trauma. And that was the book that got me into neurofeedback, to help deal with my issues. So I started looking around, and I didn't come to Pathwaves the first time I tried neurofeedback. I actually went to this clinic that was in Miami, but they didn't even do a mapping on me. You know, it was just basic, like, I don't know, like basic like protocols that actually made me more depressed. So it was after 4 sessions, I was just like, I can't do this. Like, this is just getting too hard. So I started getting more serious about my research. And then I found Pathwaves through another neurofeedback technician who had recommended it. And then from then on, like, things just like started getting just infinitely better.
So let me be clear. So when you first got to us, my understanding when you first got to us was really you were just kind of helping us. You were asking us to help you with just kind of getting stabilized from the ayahuasca ceremony, which is not uncommon for those people, for those viewers out there. It is not uncommon, which is why Pathways really isn't a proponent. We're not against ayahuasca and perhaps plant medicines and what the possible therapeutic benefits. And it has been our experience here that we've seen at least half a dozen, and really kind of in the last year, people have similar experiences like yours, right? Where it's whatever happens during that, it really creates disassociation, more anxiety, sleeplessness, etc. So when you first got to me, it kind of felt like when you first got here, you were just looking for us to help you stabilize from the ceremony. Would you say that's right? Okay. And then you come in, and we did the mapping, and then we did your neuropath quantification report, right? Reviewed it with you, right? Which is really just reviewing your brainwave activity from our proprietary view of looking at things to help you understand how you're functioning, right? Which told a much more comprehensive story.
Yes. That was incredible. That just like was the missing piece to like my journey with my psyche and trying to like resolve things. It was amazing.
So if you go back to that point, can you give the viewers here a little snippet of what your understanding is now, what your understanding was then, and kind of what they could expect if somebody were to come in and do a mapping and a quantification?
Well, I feel like my understanding prior to the mapping, it kind of like complemented it rather than contradicted it. So when I read Realms of the Human Unconscious, Stanislav Grof kind of goes from Carl Jung's model of the psyche, which is what Pathwaves also does. But he just like, he turns it in more like psychoanalytic terms. So he talks about like trauma in the womb and the perinatal matrices, and how there's like a prototypal trauma that kind of carries through your life. And yeah, Pathways was just more like, it was more scientific, more just like matter of fact, and not really that symbolic with like all this like LSD kind of like symbolism.
Right.
Yeah, so it really was like a distilled scientific version of what happened, but it was kind of the same. So if I talked about like Stanislav Grof's model, he'll probably like, if I like had asked him what happened to me, he would probably say that I got stuck between like the second and third perinatal matrix, and like I couldn't like yeah, I couldn't like move past that trauma. But with Jeff, with that mapping that he provided me, and we saw like my high alpha waves, which showed like a kind of stable like conscious part of myself, but really high delta waves as well, which showed an unconscious part of me that was very depressed. He just kind of explained that ayahuasca just ripped open like that conscious part, and now I was just experiencing all this depression that my nervous system was protecting myself from. And I don't know, he just got so many things right, like that I wouldn't even have guessed. Like he said that I had an injury on the right side of my head, or like the right side of my body. And that actually happened. Like I got into a bike accident like 8 years ago that hit my head, and there is actual nerve damage there. Yeah, I know, it's incredible. It really is incredible how like much of a genius Jeff is, and how intuitive he is with the readings, and just like I felt like it's kind of creepy, like how much
we all kind of read your mind in a way, right?
Right, literally reading my mind. Yeah, and but yeah, there's a lot of I don't know, there's just a lot of like emotions that he just got so right about like shame and guilt, and just like not having self-forgiveness. And it was tied to a lot of the trauma that I experienced as a teenager. And slowly throughout the sessions, we kind of like integrated the trauma of my ayahuasca experience with the trauma that happened in my life. And it was just like, I don't like me personally, I don't regret taking the ayahuasca ceremony because I had you guys.
Right.
If I didn't have you guys, I don't know where I would be. But yeah, like no, but I mean, it's really that serious to me, and like the position that I was in, because I just like, I needed those sessions to kind of make sense of why I felt that way, why I experienced those visions. And, you know, it just like, and after it was like a huge purge, you know, out of my system. And I just like, I started feeling, I don't know, I just started feeling more stable and connected to myself.
So we talked a little bit. We talked a little bit about the mapping and the quantification, and then you're already moving into the training part, as I like to call it, right? You know,
yeah.
Although really the training begins by us understanding more about ourselves. So I mean, it begins even with the mapping, and on that day we do a neuro massage as well. So you begin to train and relax, right?
Yeah.
So for someone out there that doesn't know what a session looks like, you know, describe it in your own words. What would you look forward to coming up a pathway session for a neuro empowerment session for? What is that experience like? What does it entail?
Well, I guess the sessions, I had like a particular package with Pathways, but I'm not sure how the other sessions are for like a basic package. But the sessions for me were structured around a theme, and there were these exercises in each of the sessions that kind of focused on one particular thing that I was having a problem with. So one of the
and it's broken up into what? So we break it up into, you'd be sitting with me or one of our coaches, right, for about an hour, right?
Yeah.
Where we unpack a bunch of stuff, right? Unpack what's the theme of today, where are we at, where are you at, what is your brain, what are your brainwaves telling us about where you're at, right? We kind of unpack all of that, and then we say, okay, based on that, let's go ahead and this is the perfect ideal session for you, right? This is the session plan. This is the workout, the best neuro empowerment workout for today for you, right?
Yeah.
Cool. All right, and so that happens, and so once we're done with the coaching, which for you was about an hour, sometimes longer, we would then you start the digital, what I call the digital entrainment work, right? Using using the equipment, using the tech, the neurotech. You go in there, which historically, as you researched, has been called and still is called in many ways neurofeedback. We kind of unpacked it, put it back together, and kind of coined it neurofeed forward. And it's digital entrainment work, right? Where you're digitally training whatever it was that we were learning about during that 1 hour session. Okay, yeah. Is that right? That's kind of like the overview. Okay, so now we've covered that. That's kind of like a session. So, and what would that be like for you from an experiential standpoint? Like, what were some of the effects of those sessions and those days?
Some days were tough. It was a lot of processing deep emotions, and I actually really liked that part of the sessions, because I felt like, and I always feel like when you go through pain, it's just like there's like a release of it by the end of it. So there's just like this kind of internal processing of like really deep emotions that you have from your traumatic experiences, and like some of those things in sessions were very tough, but it gets to a point where it like that metaphorical blister just kind of like pops, and then you just and then you just like experience right, like you just let go of your anxiety, you let go of the emotions that you feel are holding you back, or whatever you like worked on in the coaching sessions. Like it just kind of gets lighter because you let it go in those sessions. And the people that I have worked with, like the technicians that I have worked with, they're all like willing to engage with you on that emotional level to kind of work through those exercises. And
so you would agree with us that we have a neuro empowerment dream team here,
absolutely,
as we like to call it, right? Very talented, very skilled, very well trained, well seasoned, all bringing their they all go through the process themselves, right? So they all have done work on themselves, continue to do work on themselves, which I believe makes us quite effective in what we do, because we're always trying to improve ourselves so we can improve. Yeah,
they all get it.
Yeah.
they all just look, they like even just like the dark, I mean, I've said some really dark stuff to some of the technicians and like there's no judgment, like they just understand where I'm coming from. And I've gotten into like the meaninglessness of life, like from those like philosophical questions all the way to like spirituality and like what are we, like and
right.
Yeah. And like, what is the nature of our existence? Why am I afraid of it? Like, just the entire spectrum of like, I don't know, just like your inner self.
Right. And so you did 10 and then you came back and did another 10, correct? If I remember that correctly?
Yes, I haven't finished the last 3.
Oh, you have 3 more. That's right.
Yeah, I'm supposed to go through the love cocoon.
You have the love cocoon one.
I haven't gone through the love cocoon yet.
That's so good. That's so good. That's a perfect session to keep on hold until you get back.
Yeah.
All right. So what we did 10 training sessions. We did a follow-up assessment to track your progress.
Yes.
And then tell you, hey, this is where you're improving, or this is where you're changing. These are all the areas that you're changing in, right? Some areas go up, some areas go down, just because that's the change process. Anybody that understands, the path to change isn't a straight line. Some areas go up, some areas go down, as we're making shifts, right? And then you continued on into the second half and the third and fourth phases of the neuroempowerment process. And so you, by now, I mean, you're back home now, you know, in New York, right? Well, your second home. Your original home is here in Miami. And can you tell us about what life has been like in the time since you did your last session? Can you talk to us a little bit about that, the results, the benefits? What would you, what can you share with those out there about, what they could look forward to?
I feel like I've let go of a lot. Yeah. I mean, I had the most dramatic, like, mind of just like this kind of, it would be like highs. It wasn't really bipolar disorder, but it would go into these highs where like I felt life was beautiful and there's just so much to be grateful for, but then I would get into those like really depressive states about it because it would just, I don't know, like somehow just like cause me pain, like of the meaninglessness of it, or that I felt trapped in consciousness. Or I had a lot of anger from my trauma. So I
remember that. I remember you were pretty angry when you first came to see me.
Yeah, I was pissed. Yeah,
you're not coming across as very angry anymore.
No, not at all. Not at all. Right. And like, and the first post assessment, I don't think I got a second post assessment yet because I haven't gone through I haven't finished the last three sessions. But after the first post assessment, the anger was just gone. Like it just looked like it was gone in the readings. And I felt that way. I felt like I let go of a lot of like that anger, because the anger came ultimately from a sense of powerlessness. And that was one of the biggest things that I realized with those neurofeedback sessions. And that's like the thing about those sessions. You kind of have these really big revelations that you could reach if you like meditated for months, but it just comes to you in weeks. It's just so like crazy how much it gets like accelerated, and the more work you put into it, the better the results are. And like because I was on medical leave and I had all this time to put in the work, like I just got so much out of those first 10 sessions. And like I was, I felt confident in returning to work in like in the 2 weeks left that I had that I was doing neurofeedback with you guys. But yeah, now it's like I still feel appreciation for life. I still feel, like it's just a little bit, I can kind of have a grasp at it more. It's not this uncontrollable like mania that's like swirling around my head. It's more from a calm state. I have more like integration with my shadow. Yeah. And it just, once you like, and the the neurofeedback effects, they kind of continue after the sessions. The effects are still working on you. And just month after month, I just started getting better and better. And I would say things to myself that you guys kind of like repeat to us in the exercises, that you don't like, that you have nothing to worry about, or that you can be content or happy just doing nothing. I would catch myself saying those things just to myself, like intuitively throughout the day, because those exercises were just so like repetitive and like they were rammed down in those sessions. And it worked. It worked. It helps just letting go of your tension and like I don't know, just letting go of your sadness or whatever just like brings you down, or whatever negative energy that you have. So, yeah, I mean, I don't know. I think you can tell that there is a difference in me.
Wild the difference.
Yeah.
Wild difference.
Yeah.
I remember some of the anger in the first couple of sessions. I'm like, I think I'm going to leave the door open just in case.
Yeah. It's, I mean, I just, and I didn't feel grounded at all when I came to you.
Right.
And now it's like, I feel so much more grounded. I'm starting to like, before it was very chaotic and I would talk about these
Mhm.
deep, like spiritual concepts and just like, what's the point of all this?
Right. Right.
And now I have more practical questions of like, okay, how am I going to make my life so that I'm happy? How am I going to,
Right.
how am I going to make my circumstances work for me? And that is, I don't know, that's like the real neuro empowerment right there. Just like, where you just allow yourself the space to do that. And I like in neurofeedback, just like in my experience with any of these things, like whether you're doing psychedelics or you're doing neurofeedback or you're meditating, it shows you the work,
Mhm.
it just kind of like brings it to consciousness, and it's up to you on what to do with it. Yeah, and I don't know, I feel very lucky that I came across pathways to, I don't know, just help me build like a healthier consciousness for myself that worked for me, and that didn't like cut into my personality or or I don't know, or how like interesting I thought I was to myself, but it just like, I still saw the world the same way,
Right.
but I kind of had a different attitude or reaction towards it. I'm not like reacting to it anymore. It's more responding.
I love it. I love it. Wow. So you've let go of a bunch of shit, to be
Yeah.
clear,
Yeah.
including that anger that you were holding on to.
Yes.
All right. So you're much happier, much more grounded. So you
Yes.
feel like you're present here, able to
Yes.
function here.
Yeah.
Which for those people out there that know what, feeling disconnected and disassociated feels like, it's really kind of a non-functional state. You can't really
Yeah.
do much. And that's one of the things we do really, really well with. I mean, getting people grounded is, I would say one of our specialties, and it happens fairly quickly. Moving from reacting to responding, that's beautiful. Like, so I would imagine you're feeling a lot less triggered by
Yes.
things that used to trigger you.
Yes.
Awesome, awesome, and I guess in general, just a lot less worried, concerned, stressed, all of it.
Yeah. I mean, it hasn't completely gone away, but I like I know I'm in a better place. I know I'm more at peace with
Mhm.
myself. Um, I know that, you know, it's not like you do neurofeedback and then you're done.
Right.
But it's it, you have to establish a practice, and I don't know, but the exercises kind of helped me. They helped me shape what that practice would look like. Like, what are the things that I should be like saying to myself to keep my nervous system happy, to keep, and just like not even from speaking like biologically, but just, you know, like ask myself, what do you really want? you know, just really delving into that question, I think has just made my life, gain more clarity, more groundedness, more happiness, um, and it's more sustained.
Yes,
Yes.
it's definitely a more sustainable journey.
Yes.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
And I also think that one of the things that, like I said, you in the beginning, you came in just for us to help you get grounded and reconnected, and and so that you could function again. And then as we started to unpack things with the mapping and the sessions and the coaching, I mean, I think you began to, I'm pretty certain, you understood that you began to find new insights into why you had been functioning that way, right?
Oh
Deeper
yeah.
deeper root causes that I think that once we get to those root causes, there's like this moment of like, okay, I understand
Yeah.
now why I'm functioning. It's not because I'm just crazy or, or
Yeah.
they have some sort of unresolvable issue, right? You really began to understand, oh, okay, wait. Oh, okay, and this is the root cause. And because of the principles of neuroplasticity and this
Hmm.
process we can shift all that, right? We can reconcile all this and move forward, you know.
Hmm. Yeah, there are two types of sessions that I really distinctly remember in neurofeedback. One of them is the clean cow,
Can you
which
tell us what the clean cow means? We're not cleaning cows here. Can you tell us what
no,
that is?
I actually, I actually like, I actually don't remember the exercise itself, but I remember how I felt after the session.
So
But
COW stands for conditions of worth. So we're
conditions
cleaning
of
out
work,
conditions of worth, right? Okay. Yeah.
yeah.
Okay.
But I don't, I don't know what type, like where you put the like electrodes on my scalp for the cow, but it feels like my subconscious was being cleaned, and
Mhm.
it would somehow just find the place of where there was kind of stagnant energy in my subconscious, and I felt like it was just being like released into outside of my body.
Amazing.
Yeah,
Amazing.
I've never felt so in tune with like my internal like energy mapping than with
That's so good.
neurofeedback. Yeah,
That's so good.
but
That's
it's
really that's one of the best things you said tonight. Never been so
yeah,
in tune with my internal energy mapping. That's so good.
yeah, that's like a brand new sentence.
I love it. I love it. We're gonna use it. We're gonna use it from now on.
But yeah, it just felt like my subconscious was being cleaned, and it would make me like some days it would make me like cry, but I would let it out. Like I would just,
Mm,
let it out for a couple of days, and then just like more lightness came after that. And
right.
then another one was the three houses. And
Mm,
that one was really tied to the trauma that I had experienced, because it went from like the anger to like the shame and the guilt I felt behind that anger, and then my sense of powerlessness, and then like I had to go through these like three houses where I like meet the people who kind of like caused that trauma to me. Second house, I like forgive them, and then the third house, I see a future that I want, where I feel safe and protected, that like
yes.
supplants those fears that I had when I was a kid.
Right.
And that was just such a big realization for me. I mean, that was just like the climax of like the neurofeedback session. Like I realized in my body that I wanted to feel safe and protected.
Wow.
That was like that was like the ayahuasca ceremony. That was the trauma when I was a kid. That was like a revelation from the neurofeedback. Like that's what all these things were like kind of telling me, like that I just wanted to feel safe and protected. Because like when I came to you, I didn't even trust like my own consciousness. Like I didn't even trust like the nature of my existence. I just wanted to like disappear, you
Right.
know.
Right.
Um,
Right. Right.
and so I don't know, like the body really keeps the score. It really just, even if I don't remember some of the traumas that happened in my mind, my body definitely does. And just
Mm,
having that kind of like nervous system rewiring, it triggers those areas that need that kind of care, and
mm.
it just lets it
Beautiful.
go.
I love
Yeah,
it.
yeah,
So I'm gonna stop us here real quick because I hadn't realized that Jennifer Kaminsky and Judy Passos and Anna, of course, were all like really just inspired by your story. Thank you for sharing it. Um, for being such a brave woman to come out here and share it with all of us. Um, so yeah, I mean, I feel like there's so many different themes that you've touched on today and just sharing that I feel like we could talk about this stuff
yeah.
for hours and on end. You know
We have coaching
yeah,
sessions.
we have exactly. Well put. We have, uh, and yet there's so much more to unpack, right? So much of this is so in so many ways it's kind of because we've been doing this for such a long time, we understand it really well. And for a lot of people, this is new to them. They didn't know that your memory stays somewhere in your stomach, and that's kind of why you don't feel worthy, and it's tied to some other root cause.
Yeah.
That really happened, an event that happened at the age of 13. We're just
Hmm.
this is all kind of new science for us. We're really just
Yeah.
learning this. So the fact that we have a protocol that can help alleviate that, transform that, heal that, and allow people to move forward and create new lives is just Sometimes because I do it so much, I'm so immersed in it, and it's such an everyday practice for me. It's almost like I forget how remarkable, how really wonderful this whole thing is, and really
It
quite
really,
amazing and miraculous. I mean, it
it
really
really
is.
is, it really is remarkable. And I feel like Pathways is doing something that no other neurofeedback company, clinic, like technician, like nobody else is doing
Mm,
what Pathways is doing. Like it's just so it's so well charted, the nervous system, and just the mappings and the locations, and what like brainwaves are associated with what emotions or feelings, and it's just so it's I feel like it's like the most comprehensive model today on on consciousness in like a in kind of like a measurable tangible sense. And I don't know, like I feel like you guys should be like leading the way for the future of like psychotherapy, because I think it's the future, honestly.
well, listen, from your lips to the universe's ears, we want to teach this to, we want everybody to have an opportunity to go. Those that need it, those that want it, have an opportunity to go through it.
Yeah.
We're working every day at making that a reality for more and more people, as well as practitioners. We want to be able to eventually teach this to practitioners and get this
Yes.
into their offices. There's a lot of pain and suffering in the world. There's a lot of healing and transforming that this world, that the collective psyche needs. I don't know that there's anybody that would really argue that right now. So anyways, we could go on those tangents for hours on end. And I'm really humbled and honored that you have, been able to come through the process, get the results you needed and wanted and more. And that you're here tonight to share it with everybody. I mean, it just, I always say to people that the thing that I'm most grateful for, the thing that I'm most appreciative for is the trust that's given to us, because we're a lighthearted, well-developed group of individuals over here enjoying life, and we take these matters very, very, very seriously, right? So we know how to apply this, all the tools and techniques that we use and embody them, and we also know that what we're dealing with is very serious. These are very, these are things from the past that have no business in the present, and I'm just really excited that we get to work with individuals like yourself, and that we'll continue to get to work with individuals like yourself. Great humans.
Yeah, definitely. I don't know. After ayahuasca and after neurofeedback, it's just been kind of like this psycho spiritual journey within myself, and just how I can integrate my spiritual inclinations with the practices that I've adopted at Pathways. And it's just, I don't know, it to me, like having a healthier consciousness for individual and like the collective consciousness is the most important work we can do as humans. That's just from my standpoint,
100%.
because it's just, once you change yourself, then you can just, you can literally be the change that you want to see in the world. So
100%.
yeah,
100%.
I mean,
we change
100%.
everything. The relationships,
Yeah, it changes everything.
Our parenting styles, our teaching styles, our everything. So, well,
everything.
Katrina, it's been wonderful to have you on tonight. Any closing thoughts, closing remarks? I mean, you've already said so many beautiful things. So, anything else you want to share with anybody, with us, and your viewers tonight?
No, just please teach this stuff to more technicians and practitioners. I hope you follow through with that, because like the world needs this kind of therapy.
Awesome. Well, listen, thank you so much. Have a wonderful night. We will see you soon. You'll be back soon for the Love Cocoon.
Absolutely.
Awesome. Sounds great.
I might come down yeah, I might come down in June, but we'll see. It's definitely gonna happen.
Awesome. All right. Thank you so much. Have a great night. We'll talk soon. Ciao.
You too.